Breaking news! Head coach Dan Campbell and the Lions are riding high right now. With 11 straight wins and atop the NFC North, this team looks like an absolute juggernaut. But as Campbell often reminds us, the work is never done. This week, we're taking on the Buffalo Bills, another Super Bowl contender, and Campbell has one main focus in mind: cleaning up the little problems before they become big ones. If you believe the Lions will win, hit the like button, and comment below with your thoughts on what Campbell needs to fix in order to beat the Bills. Last week against the Packers, the Lions played well enough to win, but 7 penalties, including a costly red zone holding call on Dan Skipper, kept Green Bay closer than they needed to be. The week before that, Amon-Ra St. Brown was flagged for a holding inside the Bears' 5-yard line, stopping what could have been an easy touchdown. That's 13 penalties in the last 2 games. You better believe Campbell isn't going to let this one slide. In his press conference, Campbell was blunt. There are little things on offense, defense, and special teams, just little things, that are coming up that we haven't completely eliminated. We need to completely sanitize all of that. Let's get it out of there. That's classic Dan Campbell for you. No excuses, just hard accountability. And make no mistake, the Buffalo Bills are no joke. They're hungry, they're dangerous, and they're coming off a tough loss to the Rams. Quarterback Jared Goff knows exactly what that means. The pressure is on. In his words, if they score a lot of points, we have to score a lot of points. It's going to be a shootout, and every inch, every snap, will count. Here's the good news, Lions fans. Ford Field is ready to set the stage for this primetime showdown. If you're heading to the game, you'll notice something different. The end zones and midfield have gotten a fresh coat of paint. The Lions' black logo at midfield looks absolutely obnoxious and matches perfectly with the all-black uniforms the team will wear on Sunday. If you're not excited yet, just wait until you see it in person. But here's where things get interesting, and I'm talking about Micah Parsons interesting. If you haven't heard the buzz, the father of the all-pro Dallas Cowboys edge rusher recently caused a stir when he said he'd love to see his son traded to the Lions. Yep, you heard that right, Micah Parsons in Honolulu Blue. Imagine a future where Parsons and Aiden Hutchinson are terrorizing quarterbacks together. In his father's words, it would be like cheating. And honestly, he's not wrong. Now, before you get too excited, let's break this down. Could Parsons actually land in Detroit? The Cowboys are at a crossroads. They're getting older, they have salary cap issues, and they could be looking to shake things up in the coming seasons. Parsons becomes a free agent after 2025, and while it won't be easy for Detroit to fit him into the budget, Brad Holmes has expressed interest in Parsons before. Remember the 2021 draft? The Lions had multiple meetings with Parsons, but ultimately chose Penei Sewell, which, by the way, was absolutely the right decision. Still, the connection is there, and if the stars align, maybe, just maybe, Parsons could be wreaking havoc in Detroit in 2026. Speaking of Ford Field, let's address the elephant in the room, the rising ticket prices. The Lions have been raising prices for season tickets over the last 2 years, and some die-hard fans are understandably upset. Longtime season ticket holders are being priced out, and that's led to some serious concerns about the atmosphere at Ford Field. Beat writer Jeremy Reisman and podcaster Matt Derry have both pointed out that the stadium just doesn't feel as loud as it did last year. And you know what? They might be right. The concern here is real. If corporations and deep-pocketed fans scoop up all the pricey seats, Ford Field could lose some of its edge. We all know how electric it was last season, the kind of noise that made it nearly impossible for opposing offenses to function. That's the environment we need, especially for games like this Sunday showdown against the Bills. If we're going to keep Ford Field as one of the most intimidating venues in the league, we need every fan in that building to bring their A game, regardless of how much they paid for their seat. So, Lions fans, here's where I want to hear from you. First, how confident are you heading into Sunday's game against the Bills? Do you think Campbell's focus on cleaning up the little things will make a difference? Second, what's your take on the Micah Parsons buzz? Could you imagine him in Detroit alongside Hutchinson? And finally, are you worried about the Ford Field atmosphere changing with the rising ticket prices? Now changing the subject, there's some buzzing news surrounding our defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. The man has been instrumental in turning this defense into a top-tier unit alongside Dan Campbell. Now, with the Lions being one of the most talked about teams in the NFL, Glenn's name is surfacing as a hot candidate for head coaching positions in 2025. And guess what? The New York Jets are reportedly high on his list of interests. This one's personal, Lions fans. Aaron Glenn played 8 incredible seasons with the Jets, where he became a 2-time Pro Bowler. ESPN's Rich Cimini dropped a nugget this week, saying Glenn is very interested in the Jets' vacancy. With Robert Saleh out of the picture, New York is on the hunt for a leader to rebuild its culture, and Glenn's proven track record with the Lions makes him a prime target. Cimini shared on his podcast that Glenn's stock is at an all-time high, and let's be honest, that's well-deserved. Glenn's leadership and defensive brilliance have been key in turning Detroit into a playoff powerhouse. But here's where it gets really spicy. Another team that could come calling for Glenn is the New Orleans Saints, where he previously served as a defensive backs coach and even wrapped up his NFL playing career in 2008. So, Lions fans, if there's one thing we know, Glenn will be in high demand. But don't panic yet. The Lions culture under Dan Campbell is special. Both Glenn and offensive coordinator Ben Johnson stayed last year after multiple head coaching interviews, showing just how committed this staff has been to bringing a championship to Detroit. Could we see history repeat itself this offseason? That's the big question. Now, here's a twist. If the Jets are serious about Glenn, there's talk of pairing him with Lions senior personnel executive John Dorsey as their new GM. Dorsey has an impressive resume, having helped draft Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. Pairing him with Glenn would give the Jets a duo that knows how to rebuild and win, something Lions fans have witnessed firsthand. While this news makes us proud of Glenn's achievements, let's address the elephant in the room. Losing him would be a tough blow. We've seen the Lions' defense improve year after year under Glenn's guidance, and continuity has been key in Detroit's rise. If he does leave, it'll be up to Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell to find someone who can maintain that momentum. And for those who love a bit of rivalry hype, here's a fun one. Buffalo Bills head coach Sean McDermott boldly claimed he could take down Dan Campbell in a wrestling match. That's right, he called out our coach. Now, McDermott has legit wrestling credentials. He was a 2-time national prep school champion and racked up 75 straight wins back in the day. But let's be real, has he seen Dan Campbell? The man looks like he could tackle a freight train. Honestly, I think we'd all pay to see those two square off, but for now, they'll settle the showdown on the field this week. Buffalo versus Detroit is shaping up to be a must-watch. Both teams are Super Bowl contenders, and with our Lions sitting at an impressive 12-1, all eyes are on this clash. The Bills come into this game hungry after giving up 44 points last week, and McDermott's bold words are only adding fuel to the fire. Can the Lions stay clean, as Dan Campbell emphasized, and extend their dominance? That's the question heading into Sunday. Alright, Lions fans, let me hear it in the comments. Do you think Aaron Glenn will stay loyal to Detroit, or do you see him taking on a head coaching role with the Jets or Saints? And let's not forget about McDermott's challenge. Who wins that wrestling match, McDermott or Campbell? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for all the latest Lions news. We've got a massive game coming up this week, so stay tuned for more updates. Let's go Lions!